up guys, my name is Belle. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about things I would and wouldn't change about my wedding. So this past January 3rd of 2020, I got married to my lovely husband. This guy.
What's up?
He'll be sitting right there the whole time while I'm filming this. We got married this past January. We had a 7-month-long engagement. For some people that's really long, for some people that's really short. For us, it felt a little short because we waited last minute to do a lot of it, which we will get into. Here is our wedding teaser. It's essentially just a 1.5-minute condensed version of our entire wedding day.
To the girl with the chipped black nail polish, the crystal heart, the butterfly storm, with your eyes like storms still deadly, with your voice still sweet, while the seas still roar. On this day, I make a promise, a covenant, a decree, to love you for the rest of my life, to protect you, to watch the sunsets and sunrises and stars all reflect in your eyes, to sacrifice everything, to chase after Jesus together, to choose kindness, to choose joy, to choose love. To the girl most loved by Jesus, to the girl most loved by me, I make a promise to love you for the rest of my life.
So that was our wedding day, and these are the things I would change about my wedding. Number one, like I mentioned, I would start planning earlier. We waited to look at venues. We kept saying like, oh, we have 7 months. Oh, we have time. And we waited to do a lot of things. We waited to start touring venues. We weren't sure if we wanted to get married in Philly or in Rhode Island. Start planning early. As soon as you get engaged, get on your guest list. Decide who you want there. If you want to send out save the dates, send out save the dates. We wanted to, but we just took too long. And then at that point, it was like, might as well send out the invitation. That would have been something that would have alleviated a lot of weight, was just planning earlier. The earlier you start, the more time you can take doing it. Which ties into my other point, which is to get a wedding planner or get help. I know that it's not in the budget for a lot of people to have a wedding planner, but I do know that a lot of wedding venues actually come with someone that's kind of there to walk with you. Not necessarily a wedding planner, kind of like the venue's event planner. Now, that person is key. You could talk to that person about a timeline for the day, and they could probably help you a lot with different vendor options and to stay on schedule for your wedding day. When it was about 4 months out to our wedding, that is when I got a wedding planner, and she was honestly a blessing from the Lord. She killed it. I don't know how I would have done it without her. I wish we would have hired her way earlier. Second thing I would change about my wedding is actually where we had our reception. We would have just given it a lot more thought because a lot of things happened the day of our wedding at our reception that were unexpected, and some of it's out of our control, but I do think that some of it was in our control and we just didn't know. One of the big things that happened at our reception was Grand Theft Auto. Someone in our wedding party got their car stolen, fully broken into, and stolen. This was because the parking situation at the venue we thought was going to be a lot more organized from what they had explained to us, but the night of, the signage was kind of dark. People really couldn't see where in the street they could park and where they couldn't park, and that led to a car getting fully stolen, other cars getting broken into, and other cars getting towed. at our wedding. That is something that we wish we would have really looked into, the location of our reception venue. If we would have done a little bit of research on the location, maybe we would have been more aware of what had been going on around the area at the time, and maybe we would have gone with a completely different direction. This leads me to the third thing that I would change about our wedding. It's the fact that there is a bowling alley on top of where we were having our reception. We knew that there was a bowling alley, but we just didn't know that they opened it to the public while the space was booked for an event like a wedding. While we were listening to our speeches from our wedding party, our maids of honor, our best men, there were like thunder sounds happening on top of us because people were bowling right above us. And you could tell that people kind of noticed. That's something I kind of wish that the venue would have disclosed to us. I think it would have changed our plan a little bit. I do think that this is something to keep in mind whenever you choose your reception venue. If it's a place that also has another part that's open to the public, like a restaurant, or a bowling alley, ask, will those things be open to the public while I'm having my wedding reception? Fourth thing I would change about our wedding also has to do with the reception, doing a plated dinner. We wanted to do a plated dinner from the start, and if you don't know, a plated dinner is just where like people are sitting at their tables and people bring out the food rather than a buffet style where people get in line. The venue really pushed us into the buffet style. This was something that we talked to the venue a lot about, and we're like, oh, we want to like have the same food but plated. And she was like, no, it'll be fine. Buffet style will be fine. And the venue kind of just kept pushing us towards that direction. But then what ended up happening was that the way we had our tables set up, the line of people went like through the tables, and it was just not something we really wanted, was to have people waiting in line for that long. It was kind of backed up for a little bit and just wasn't an overall like really good feel. So we wish we would have gone with the plated dinner, which leads me to the next thing, which at this point, I don't know what number we're at. Doesn't really matter. The next thing is our seating. What we ended up doing, and I'll put a photo here, we had like kind of like the family style seating where every table was connected and the dance floor was in the center of the room. I kind of wish we now went with like the traditional round tables, everyone spread out across the room for many reasons. Number one, the buffet line would have been a lot less of an eyesore if it was kind of weaving a little bit rather than just across the room. Another thing would be the size of the dance floor. Because we had the tables lined up that way, it made for such a huge dance floor in the middle. And if you're someone like us and you like to party and you like to get down on the dance floor, this is something to consider. When you have too much space for a dance floor, people aren't as comfortable or as brave and courageous to get into the dance floor and start dancing. People are a lot more aware of themselves. Now, if you have something a little bit more tight, which we could have achieved if we had the tables kind of spread out, we would have created for a much smaller dance floor, more of a dance party vibe overall. And the last thing I would change about our wedding was the last minute details. Look, the lighting is changing, so if it changes, don't mind it. The sun is doing its own thing right now. Doesn't matter. We work with what we got. We waited very, very last minute to do things like the name cards for the table. For our toast, we actually had like the champagne glasses filled with seltzer and a lime, and we had the name cards on the glass. It was a really cute idea that I saw on Pinterest. But when we executed it, we didn't realize that we made the people's names really small. So it was really hard to see, especially in the reception, like dim light kind of setup. We printed out last minute cards to put on every single seat that said like, please don't use your phone. And that completely went overlooked because it was such a last minute addition. Overall, I feel like I loved my entire wedding day. I'm saying these things because I think that there's always things that we look back at and we think, oh, I wish I did this, wish I didn't do that. And hopefully that's a help to any of you guys that are currently planning a wedding or will be someday. But here are some things that I really, really loved about what we did. First and foremost, we invited who we wanted to. We didn't let ourselves get pressured by anyone really with our guest list. We knew who we wanted at our wedding, and we didn't really want to have that random person's friend's cousin that we didn't know just because it's courtesy to give someone a +1. This might be unpopular, but I really don't believe that you should be forced to invite anyone to your day. It's your day. Have the people you and your fiance want at your wedding. And if that makes people upset, that makes people upset. But at the end of the day, this is the day that you're gonna look back at. Not everyone else. People are gonna forget about your day. They're gonna move on with their life, but it's your day. So don't let yourself get pressured by different people and different sources to have certain people at your wedding. that you don't want. Invite the people that you know and that you love, not the people that you don't know and that you won't remember. Something else we loved about our wedding day was the food. Oh my goodness. That was probably the best thing from the reception venue that we got. We had tacos, we had carne asada. Everyone's plates were like big and the food was really good. The food and the dessert. We had a Brazilian dessert table with brigadeiro, if you know what that is, and Brazilian cake, and it all went. Like literally was gone in like 5 minutes. If you have cultural food, if you have something that you really like, have the food you want. I know a lot of venues come with food packages and that's the route people go, but if you have the freedom to, have fun with the food, especially if it's a year with a lot of weddings and people are going to be eating a ton of chicken at every single wedding. Don't be afraid of having tacos or doing pancakes, doing breakfast for dinner, doing an ice cream bar, something like that, and just having fun with it. Another thing that we would not change about our wedding is our wedding ceremony location. Oh my goodness, absolutely in love with our venue. As you saw in the video, we got married at this pavilion that was right next door to a church. It was everything that we wanted. It was our style. It fit the style of my dress. It fit the overall vibe that we were going for. And we actually did something really cool with the seating. This is something I had seen, I think on Pinterest like years ago. We had our guests actually sitting on both halves of the room facing each other, and we had the ceremony in the middle of the room. Typically at a wedding, the bride and groom stand at the very front and the people all the way in the back can't really see anything. No one can see their faces, but it was actually really sweet that my mom was able to sit on the other side and she saw my face, and half of the room were able to see my husband and I during our entire ceremony, which was really, really cool and something that I thought was unique to our wedding and I would not change. Something else that I would not change about my wedding is the fact that we didn't have a cocktail hour. We got married in January, and because we had a different location for the ceremony and the reception, we didn't really want to have this limbo cocktail hour where the couple takes photos and everyone's just sitting there eating like hors d'oeuvres and doing small talk. We wanted to go straight from the ceremony to the reception. So it was like, we got married and now we eat and we party. And that was possible because we did a first look. Now, some people like to go the traditional route where the groom sees the bride down the aisle for the very first time, and it's beautiful and romantic and I love it. The reason we ended up doing photos before was actually because we were going against the light here. It's winter, so the sun sets really early and we needed to get our photos done earlier anyway. Because of that, we just eliminated cocktail hour. We were like, okay, then it's an extra expense. We don't really need it. People didn't miss it. My husband and I did a first look and then we took all of our photos and then we just hung out before the wedding. And that's honestly one of my favorite things. I was able to just hang out with my fiance at the time right before we were about to get married, and it helped calm any nerves. It really helped us just have so much fun. The last thing that I would not change about our wedding was the fact that we had a photo booth. Photo booth was kind of a last minute addition, and I think it was a hit. We didn't do party favors, and the photo booth kind of served as that. People got to take their photos, they had them printed out immediately, and they had something to take home that night. Party favors are kind of outdated. Personal opinion. The photo booth was honestly very fun. People loved it. People had fun with it. So that is it for today's video. I hope that was informative. If you are planning a wedding, you do you. You have your dream day exactly how you want to have it. I hope you might have learned from things that we would have changed, some of our mistakes, and I hope your day is absolutely beautiful. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. I post on this channel every Tuesday and every Friday, and I will see you in the next video. Deuce. Something else that we did a little, something else. This says, Jesus is King, Jesus is King. Deuce, deuce.